Good evening to everybody who comes to us via the magic of the World Wide Web, the WWW. We've got a very special reading tonight. It's kind of a reading that is going to sort of pay homage and hopefully attract a lot of you to Live Mag. And I want to tell a little story before I introduce the editor of Live Mag. Jeffrey Cipher's right. But the readers tonight, the poets will be Larissa Shmaelo, Joel Daly, Sharon Mesmer, and we have a special treat as well. We have Jessica Neeson, who's going to talk about her artworks, which is kind of where Live Mag is at. It's kind of poetry and art. And the COVID issue, which is out there now, is the 17th issue. So I'm hoping that we can all get behind and support this incredible thing from the Lower East Side. Now, let me just give a little talk about that for a minute. When I was a kid growing up in nearby Lower East Side, New Jersey, so I was in New Jersey, and it seemed when I was like 13 or 14 years old, that everything was going on interesting in the world was going on about 10 miles away. And I had no access to it except to go over there where I was just a schmucky kid. They probably saw me and said, hey, oh, McSorley's is over that way, you know, one of them. But anyway, once looking in the old Village Voice, an institution which I can't get over that it's not there. It used to be the center of so much. But I'm looking through the want ads and I see that now I'm in high school and I was reading this one book that I loved a lot called The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test by Tom Wolfe. And it was about Ken Kesey. And Ken Kesey was reading on 2nd Avenue and 10th Street at the St. Mark's Poetry Project. So when I was like 16 and 17, I'd go over there and I'd see Ken Kesey. And I can still remember him saying that he had met with George McGovern and he had lost hope because George McGovern was talking about winning, and he knew that would be it for him, that if he didn't care about winning, that he'd have a much better shot at it. But anyway, George McGovern lost, and we've been paying that price ever since. But before I go any further, I want to introduce the editor and the kind of driver behind Live Mag. Jeffrey Cipher's right, I've been reading his latest book, Blue Liar, and I can't tell you, it's such a wonderful book. I really encourage you to go out and get it. And just so you know how wonderful his taste is, you should get yourself a copy of Live Mag as well. And we'll try to get that website up so that everybody has the way. Jeffrey, how long have you been doing Live Mag? I know you've been on the scene on the Lower East Side since I was a child.
Well, Jim, thanks for having our circus over here tonight. So happy to have our readers, you know, from this issue, and Larissa will be in the next issue. When I first got to New York, Ted Berrigan I was at a workshop with him at the church and St. Mark's, and he said, you know, you should do what I did and start a magazine. So everybody was starting magazines, so I thought I'll start some postcards, and I could probably even sell those. People would actually send the poetry around, and it was a lot of fun. And I did that starting in '78.
No kidding.
Publishing ever since.
You know, inside I have a bunch of stuff that I bought back then, all this mimeograph stuff. Ted Berrigan, actually, there's one I have in particular about baseball, Yo-Yos with Money. And it's a mimeograph magazine. And that was kind of the scene then, was a lot of mimeograph. And
I drove Cover. When Cover kind of gave up the ghost, I was like, I didn't publish anything for a couple of years while I got my act together and got a job and stuff and made a little money so I could publish again. And then actually that went about for 7 years. So then in 2007, I believe we started Live Mag. And since we've done 17 issues in.
17 issues.
Yeah. And let me thank Lori Ortiz, who just put the website on the Facebook site and who designs the issues and is a co-editor. And also Ilka Scobie is a co-editor who also worked with me for Cover magazine. Well, the cover is similar, but this one's tight. Poems and art.
Well, yeah. we're gonna start the readers. We're gonna start with Larissa Shmaelo. Her new poetry collection, Dora Laura, is forthcoming from Salmon Poetry. Her new novel is Sly Bang, and her first novel is Patient Women, which is from Blaze Vox. Her poetry collections are Medusa's Country from Mad Hat, Special Characters from Unlikely Books, In Paran, Blaze Vox, and chapbooks such as A Cure for Suicide and the ebook Fib Sequence. So without any further ado, I'm going to cut over to Jeffrey, who has additional things to say.
Delight to have Larissa here with us. Larissa has been a great force in the poetry world. And over the last year, Larissa was you were one of the first to start with the Zoom poetry readings, and
that's right.
That was really great. And hearing your work is like a tango, a little bit. And you deal with this intersection between the body and the soul, the personal and the political, the verbal and the written, the prayer and the spell. Let's please welcome our great friend, Larissa Shmaelo.
Hello. It's Shmaelo, guys.
Oh, thanks. Sorry about that.
But that's okay. I go by Teresa, Maritza, Shmaelo, Schmizlo. It all is good. So thank you, James and Jeff, for having me here. It's an honor to be on the bill with Joel and Sharon and Jessica. And let me read a poem. My first poem is called Williamsburg Poem. Shaking like the L beneath the Williamsburg train, I wait for him to come. Bridge and tunnel meeting like the girders of the L, his hard arms open my thighs. In the hood, they have names for him. The girls say his name, call him Dos Cafés con Leche. They say, Ruega para nosotros. They say he's yucca, white and shining, like the crucifix on your breast. They say he's lucky like a spider. They say he's yucca, white and hard. They watch him, run like a wolf on the rooftops, run like a wolf on the rooftops every night. Rumbling, like the train beneath the sidewalk and the L above my head, encircled by these girders and his arms, he whispers spray paint and graffiti, pulls me down into the subway, pulls me down and up again, lifts me to the bridge, the girders tattooed like the open L. His mouth burns the asphalt. Graffiti burns my thighs, and I run through the clotheslines that flap on the roofs. I run through the night after him. The girls give me garlic. The girls all pray for me. And I pray with the words from the spray-painted walls and the girders that shake on the L. And I pray, he is my Catholic con leche. He is my old native religion. I pray, ruega para nosotros. I pray, ruega para mí. He is my brujo lobo blanco. He is my amor y araña. And my prayers are as dark and as deep as his night, as the hole he will fill with his eyes here in me. Laughing, he opens my Williamsburg thighs. Skin. My tongue is bruised. My nude is creaky. Like a cabbage, I sit and wait for you. I stutter like an old gun. Take me, no, the fast love of my hair. Your beady little eyes transfix me like rats at the foot of my bed. Your limp pendant wrists still hang on my door. You snicker, get a grip. Your skin is a labyrinth. I follow like a duct. I follow the duct of your eyes like a skein to the combinatory bull. Eyes forward, now toward where I leap for the horns. Won't you come in his eyes? You own too big a piece of me. Your eyes say spare some change, and I don't want to. I take and give no quarter. I've already cut my hair. Skin is just sausage, we go home. Skin is just sausage. John Donald back in 1985. And it was his birthday yesterday. And if you missed him, he was the funniest man in the world. So that's the truth. This is called Death at Sea. The heart, someone wrote once, couldn't walk a straight line, couldn't pass the drunk test if it tried. Wake in Vegas, sat shiva in casinos where there were no windows, no daytime, no peace. I put him in a casket, a greedy one-armed bandit. It still asks me for coins for its insatiable slot. I hate the beach, the Dead Sea beach, the sun-blocked, snorkeled, oily beach, the scuba lungs, the dead grass skirts, the blind, bikinied, sunglass beach. I hate the sea, the soulless sea, the sentient, malevolent, swampy sea. It don't care if you live, it won't cry if you die. It boasts like Yahweh, it spits in your eyes. The stupid sea. But I love the albatross that took Stephen Solon. I love the lighthouse and the shore. And I love all sailors, both sober and drunk, that won't kill a bird no matter what. And I love the salt and I love the storm. And I loved Stephen beyond most doubt. And if I knew then what I know now, could I have walked on water and pulled him out? And lastly, I am going to end with a list of poems never to be used, a list of words never to be used in poems. Soul, being, essence, fire, dream, auburn, scent, inhumanity, starry, ripe, free, heaven, transcend, memory, butterfly, chrysalis, please, mad, ecology, teach, tear, lachrymose, cry, frown, smile, love, thought, potential, season, poetry, verse, transubstantiate, transform, ascend, breathe, breath, usurp, sing, shudder, genius, antihero, thrush, lark, birdsong, exaltation, maid, woman, man, men, attempt, right, am, word, tresses, thrill, form, character, said, desire, longing, elm, oak, tree, flame, yearn, burn, consume, new human bow, warrior, want, page blank, and so far you agree. Well then, understanding, unique, deluge, dacha, manqué, mensch, wheelbarrow, manifest, palimpsest, avatar, sight, seer, samovar, light, ingredient, save, Oprah, Jerry, nothing but yet, the, a, loneliness, melange, sea, lighthouse, tower, healing, light, use, underscore, trial, Kafka, yes, shop, radiant, garden, for, your, music, recollection, last, addiction, evolution, fight, over, in, DNA, Darwinian, Medicaid, pharmacology, software, star, cover, in, DNA, Darwinian, Medicaid, pharmacology, software, star, hardwired, stellar, bang, relate, relationship, query, queer, think, survivor, mind, pain, sorrow, tragedy, woe, enter, laughing, mope, still with me? Okay, how about life, live, living, hope, horror, help, one, singularity, Buddha, art, bomb, arms, lines, marital, Broadway, show, tell, ask, mission, missive, missile, realm, wonder, wander, know, knowledge, reify, epistemological, portent, magic, magical, many, omnipotent, avuncular, very, theme, adjective, parse, man, father, mother, brother, we, our, I, omnibus, rarity, time, past, future, date, number, year, one, abstract, mad, insight, learned, spirit, well, fine, good, thanks, fine, good, fine, fine. You? Thank you.
Whoa. Wow, that was beautiful. What a list. Beautiful. List.
Clever, Larissa. That was great reading, really forceful.
You know, when you put out words like that by themselves, well, they're not by themselves, they're in this long list, but it's like you catch them without their phrase. It's like catching them in the shower or something, you know. And it's really lovely. Thank you very much. So, Jeffrey, the next one we have, Andre Kudrescu said that Joel Daly is like an elegant, how did he put it beautifully? A laughing shiv, powered by eloquence. That was Andre Kudrescu's description of Joel Daly. What do you have to add to that, sir?
Joel, it's great to see you finally. Joel's a legendary legend out of New Orleans, where Andre caused a lot of trouble and had a lot of fun, raised a lot of eyebrows, and inspired a lot of people. And Joel's been there holding the fort and publishing up a storm with his magazine and press books, Fell Swoop. And Dick Martin just came out with a fabulous index of all of the stuff that Joel has published that made it into the index, at least. And it's like 173 things, including books. I'm so lucky he published Fake Lies for me. It was so great. Thank you. And he sends like wonderful stuff in the mail. And I wanted to say just briefly about he to borrow a sort of an idea from Chris Toll, the great late Chris Toll, that he puts the rapture in disrupture. Poems that the rapture in disrupture. Poems that mix textures to make a new kind of a cut up that just rings remarkably true and fresh and completely original. Let's please welcome our friend here, Joel Daly, to the stage.
Well, that's very nice of you to say all that, Jeffrey. And it's good to meet you. And thanks for inviting me to be here tonight. Got some few poems to read here. Why I Like Humans. Because 90% of the time they are predictable, but there's always that 10%. A whole lot of people, speaking of broken toilets, household plants stealing your precious oxygen, sound financial advice, I have a pre-existing condition. Speaking of cheese sandwiches, in addition, the gut feeling you should never ignore. Speaking of epitome, how about a talking fire plug? Please, sir, to shut off the bowl coming out of your mouth. How last century? Everything happens for a reason. The arts administrator jumps out a window. I hope none of us are arts administrators. That's got kind of a rough ending there. But I never really liked arts administrators very much. Super 8 by the airport. Prepositioned and understandably so. Human endeavor continues. Shopping cart herds tense up. They've seen high noon. Man alone, Gary Cooper doesn't even have a shopping cart. It ends the same way. Somewhat mystified. Police techniques, flashcards. W.H. Auden, white socks with a black suit, many a year ago on TV. Mattress moves so good, he'll forget his name, but remember yours forever. An established news cycle, interrupted by a deep, unyielding suspicion of anyone who writes down anything. Welcome to Texarkana. Flip the burger. And here's one more called Spank Me Harder. Hit by a poisoned dart, John hallucinated Holden, overwhelmed by Lily's suggestion that they adopt Ed to stop Michelle from lashing herself to Paul's algebra. Trish arrived at the hospital, half-dressed, incoherent, only to find Ryan comforting her former gopher, Nina, with an electric cattle prod. Downstairs, Alan lied to the pharmacist to get a new supply of pills, washed down a handful with a Coke, and sank his dentures into Deborah. Okay. I have my little playlist I'm following here. This is more recent. Rubber Ear. Woke up just now in a shack on Typewriter Key, Florida. The clairvoyants did not see the crosstown bus. You are on the verge of something huge. My tricks play eyes on me, Earl. The linguini hits the fan. Grounds for saturation. Flickering agendas. Bathtubs I abhor. Fast forever. Maybe yes, or not. Civilization and its content, after Robert Frost. You know, I was reading this morning, reading it over, and I was thinking I should probably have done a collaboration with Robert Frost on this one. Civilization and its content. I wobble variants on a team. I encourage the fly to land on Pence's noggin. I wallop hourly. I begin each sentence with the first person pronoun, AR-15. I prefer insect humor. I relish Gugon. I pissed in the stream of consciousness. I left right. I spread sheep shit over the stunned and stunning farmhands. I is rough transmission. I sirloin tremor. I gush green teacup over yon pooch. I oxygen detox. I am the tip of the dislodged iceberg, emergent. So you better look out. I have a prose poem here. It's called Cling to the Notion. And while I was reading it over this morning, I realized that it should be dedicated to James Wright. Cling to the notion. She's a good day to dilate, a day fine for fisticuffs. Out there, pandemic wingnuts spawn conspiracy lies, and what's left of the wazoo. In fact, the new currency is toilet tissue. I believe I may possibly have an ear infection, which leads directly to my plans for world domination, or dominoes, which may ultimately be thwarted, upended, or calmly brushed aside by a baby stroller descending a staircase, a fat-burning contest, or vociferous consumption of genuine, embossed, infodemic gewgaws. The ultraviolet rays can be heartfelt against greenfelt. But wait, far beyond the 6-foot social distancing Arc de Triomphe, this canned gravy sucks. In tandem, I have wasted my mashed potatoes in a field strewn with horse. That's the James Wright part there about the horses. The horse. Two more. El mismo for Octavio Pants, not pause, but pants. Are you using a secure phone? Happened or went down? Do respectable people attend the dog races? Is head drama valid? Do you delight in the forthcoming merger? Who were you 17 minutes ago? Is pizza fruitful? Are they following you too? Such as what? Are like-minded individuals clearly marked? What is your position on George Washington's blue dildo? Yet another similar example? Hurricane Katrina produced some lousy poems. Will the pandemic do the same? Is this one of them? Could be. Could be. And finally, one last swipe at the absolute. I never understood wind. The average person blinks 12 times a minute, 10,000 times per day. It's the blinking leading the bland. The day is unmapped, instability in the stratosphere. I pops a beer, my baby, she wrote me a novella, trounced my umbrella. Spent the weekend impersonating a narwhal. Yesterday warmed over. Battle stations, lousy with toxins, among the soaring pines I Victor matured. Twice removed, a ship will right itself. Pre-blowtorch, the corn is green. I ply sky zoom, no egrets. Tomorrow advancement shall be devoid of the human hanky. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joel.
Hey. That was great. How fun was that, huh?
They're fun to write, man. They're fun to write.
They do zip along. They have their own gyroscope going on in there. The infodemic of canned gravy. Really great. No regrets from Joel Daly. Thank you, Joel.
You bet.
Bravo,
you.
Joel.
What a fun night.
The next performer is actually not a poet. It is Jessica Nissen, who is from New York, and she's a visual artist, and she's going to show us a film and show us, you're going to talk about your art and tell me about it.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to actually show a 2-minute video that I made in my studio about 8 months ago for an exhibition that actually became virtual because of the pandemic. And then I'm going to sort of fly through about 8 still images. Hopefully there'll be enough time for that, and say a couple of things about that. And
this is Jessica's beautiful image that's in the magazine. You can see it's kind of like a cross between a circus tent and a melting ice cream brain.
I'm going to show a picture of that as well.
Oh, good. Okay.
But thank you so much, Jim and Jeff and Lori, for inviting me to present my work with these incredible poets. Really love this idea. And also, thank you so much, Jocelyn, for hiding it.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Jessica.
All right. So, Jocelyn, if you can hear me, let's show the little video I made.
Hi, my name is Jessica Nissen. Welcome to my studio in Sunset Park. I'm a lifelong painter, and I understand creativity to be an extension of wonder and perception. The deeper the awareness, the more the questions drive us to create a tangible expression of this inquiry. It is a fluid and persistent process. My work has been transitioning from a series called Mindstorms and Echoes to a new series collectively called Froth. The Froth paintings depict a kind of primordial foam. The mechanical engineer Andrea Prosperetti writes in The Physics of Fluids, "Bubbles are emptiness, a tiny cloud shielding a mathematical singularity, born from chance, a violent and brief life ending in the union with the infinite." The bubbling foam here is both a life-giving and potentially destructive force of nature. The language of nature is universal. We recognize ourselves in the organic. We search for ourselves in the synthetic. It is a reflection of our continuously changing psychological landscape. But the potentially irreparable consequences of politics, greed, and torpor on the very real landscape is not a metaphor, but a very real threat. It is our responsibility to resist a fugue state and endeavor to maintain the health of our environment and our equilibrium with it. We must be part of nature's reclamation, not its demise. As artists, we navigate our way through the complexity of the world and filter our brief experience here through its beauty, volatility, constant flux, and possibility.
Great, thank you. So I'd love to maybe put up the first image, Jocelyn, if that's possible, and then I'm just going to say a couple words over that, and I'll let you know when to move the next one. Okay. Great. I'm going to get back on here. Full screen. All right, thank you. So, as I said in the video, this Froth series evolved pretty naturally and organically out of another painting series called Mindstorms and Echoes, and is really inspired by rhythms and systems in nature. I'm hoping to convey a kind of unsettling tension between something provocative, like a provocative lushness in color and light and form, and something more ominous and potentially destructive, like I was discussing in the video as well. The froth is this life-giving primordial mud and an apocalyptic ooze. It also suggests an internal structure and matter, like cells and fluids, and something more fragile, vulnerable, and in flux. So this image is one of a transitional images that I made from a previous series to the Froth series. It's not exactly in chronological order here, but this one is called Saccharose Annihilation. And it's a saturated candy-colored explosion, if you will, as if like Glinda from the Wizard of Oz, the Good Witch, arrives in her bubble to meet an atomic bomb, basically. So could we have the next image? Thank you. So this is the image that appears in the 17th issue of Live Mag, the co-vivid issue I'm so excited to be in. And it's from the previous series, the Mindstorm and Echo series. The next two images are going to be from that series. It's called Cloud Lick, and it also has a mushroom cloud illusion, a kind of threatening seduction maybe of a cloud, or maybe a cumulus cloud, and as Jeff pointed out, potentially an ice cream cone as well at the same time. All right, could we shift to the next image, please? Thank you. This one you saw in the video. It's called Storm Seas, also from Mindstorms and Echoes. Another cluster of bubbles, supported by a potential energy source as well. Maybe a brain stem, making a mind explosion, or a cloud burst in a storm system. And it also has that very saturated light as well. Could we have the next image, please? So this is fully into the new Froth series, and it's called Surge, more of a golden, volcanic, flowing froth. It's about 40 by 40. So far, everything has been oil on panel, by the way. Different sizes. This is 40 by 40. The previous ones were 32 by 44. Okay, next image, please. This is called Magenta Froth. This is oil on panel as well. It's a little bit smaller, 21 by 21. And I think I was thinking more about terraforming, like perhaps another planet, because we're destroying the one we're on at the moment. So we might as well look forward to the next one. May we have the next image, please? Thank you. This one is 40 by 40 oil on panel, and it's called Froth Matrix. A bit more enigmatic and structural. I was kind of working through some distance issues and formal elements in this painting. It also has a certain kind of insistence and potentially a little bit of desperation in it. Again, a little dis-ease. Next image, please. Thank you. This one is an oil version of a pastel drawing that was in the video. And it's called Froth Miasma. A bit more earthbound, perhaps, maybe oceanic. And it's somewhat smaller. It's, I believe, 20 by 25 inches. And finally, the last image. This is a pastel drawing, and it's called Gilded Froth. And I think I just would describe this drawing a little bit more positively as a wave of kind of glowing gold light, or lemon flavored light, perhaps. And it's hopefully a little bit more positive, directive energy. And that's what I have to present today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. That was wonderful. What a great opening statements with your film. That was really wonderful. It was.
But the statement from the physicist, you know, who explained the bubble,
Yeah.
as, you know, when it pops, it merges with the infinite. It's this person doing this with language, and very similar what you're doing with paint, to try to understand this creature, this bubble. There's a question in me that I really want to ask, and I'm having a hard time finding the words for it. But how do you articulate that visually? Like, how do you approach that question? How do I make a bubble? Is it a discovery, or is it a technique?
You could look up how to paint a bubble, and you could find probably a million videos on YouTube that tell you exactly how to form the bubble with paint that will always give you the same look. And I don't do that. So basically, every time I'm painting, I'm kind of struggling with a new way of executing and trying to discuss that same form. And I think that maybe through that struggle, that's where I'm getting to a place of sort of, this very imperfect form.
You could see the struggle in the paintings. You know, you could see that you worked your way through these paintings. Like, I was kind of thinking of it was the hair painted by Dürer, where he does every little fiber of hair. Everybody knows this painting of the rabbit he paints. Yeah. And, like it's like a painting of a thing in process just by being its thinginess. And likewise with your froth, there's so much more going on in froth. I'm going to look at it more closely before I consign it to my innards anymore.
Well, anyway. I think one of the things that interests me about the subject matter is that I'm not an abstract painter, but these paintings are on the sort of edge of abstraction because
Sure.
I'm actually interested in formal decisions about volume and light and color that are more natural to figurative painting. So,
Well, thanks for sharing it with us.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
This was a new thing for us to do this, to have paintings displayed alongside poetry. I guess that's kind of the spirit of Live Mag art.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Sassy and snazzy. And I wrote down the list of words. Anyway, it really helps. This combination of poetry and visual art, I think it kind of delivers the message of Live Mag really nicely. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here tonight, too.
And I want to read this physicist. The next reader is somebody I actually took a class with many, many, many years ago. I could tell you one night I remember we both studied with I happen to love Larry Fagan now. I just think he was as warm as a little teddy bear. Larry Fagan. And we both studied with Larry Fagan in this class. And I remember one night he really didn't want to teach us because it was the night Michael Jordan was playing in Madison Square Garden, and he did his famous double nickel, which is 55 points. Double nickel is, when you're into basketball, you got to say it very cool. You got to go for well, anyway. So what can I say about Sharon Mesmer? I'm going to read some of the official stuff.
A lot.
Yes, you could. And I'm going to say a lot. But Sharon Mesmer's latest collections, dig this title, Greetings from My Girly Leisure Place, has been called the best of 2015 by Entropy magazine. She's also
among other books.
Among other books?
Among other books, yeah.
Oh, like 1,000 books?
The only one. No.
She also writes fiction. And do you translate French fiction? Do I see that in your intro? You have nothing to do with French.
No, that was a book that was my book that someone translated.
Oh, dig that. Wow. So I'm going to pass it along. Go ahead.
It's called Ma Vie à Yanago, and it was published by Hachette.
Oh yeah. Wow. Jim, do you have the formal introduction right there?
I do, actually.
Oh yeah, could you read it?
I'll read it.
Yeah.
Sharon Mesmer's latest collection, Greetings from My Girly Leisure Place, Blue Books, has been called the best of 2015. And now we know there were about 1,000 other books. Just a joke, Sharon. By Entropy magazine. Other collections include Annoying Diabetic Bitch, The Virgin Formica. I'm sorry, The Virgin Formica. I love that title, man. And Half Angel, Half Lunch, and Vertigo Seeks Affinities. Her poems appear in Postmodern American Poetry, a Norton anthology. She has published 3 fiction collections, including, now my French, I don't pronounce very well, Ma Vie à Yanago, from Hachette in French translation. Her essays, reviews, and interviews have appeared in the New York Times, New York Magazine, The Cut, Paris Review, American Poetry Review, and the Brooklyn Rail, among others. She teaches at NYU and the New School. Her awards include a Fulbright Specialist Grant, a Jerome Foundation mentoring. You have to forgive me. My eyes are really bad. Mentoring.
I know, it's zooming all the time. It is.
It's
My eyes
zooming?
it's from zooming all the time.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I've actually lost half my optic nerve. So, before I even knew what Zoom was. Anyway, I'm going to finish this with one more sentence. A Jerome Foundation Mentoring Award and 2 New York foundations for the Art Fellowships. Wow, man, you are accomplished.
I'm
Yes.
fucking 60 years old, Jim.
You're 60 years old. You're accomplished and you're old.
Yes, I should have done something in 60 years.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you show us some of what you did?
Yeah, you've done.
I'm
so much.
trying.
It's amazing how much you have done, Sharon. But I just wanted to say that you have used so many different techniques, including FLARF, to enhance your own bright disposition to craft poems of unequaled buoyancy and invention.
Wow, did you write that?
Yes, Sharon.
Wow.
Unequal buoyancy itself has come this way.
Right.
I think you misread that. I think it should be bitch disposition.
Take it away, B.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and to have read with such great poets, Larissa and Joel. And I am such a huge fan of Jessica's. I love her art, and I'm just so honored that I'm next to her painting in that issue of Live Mag. And I also just want to thank Jocelyn. Nobody can see Jocelyn, but Jocelyn is doing everything right now. She's doing everything. That's all I want to say. She's doing it. I mean, you guys are doing the introductions and you're doing great. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jeff. But Jocelyn, she's there. Okay, so without, taking up a ton of time, I'm going to be reading just 4 poems from my current collection in progress, which is called Even Living Makes Me Die. And the poems in the collection are inspired by and in conversation with 37 underknown women poets of the Americas from Canada to Chile, from the 19th century to the present. And I was drawn to research and write poems for them because their lives were brilliant, but their lives were tragic. Some were murdered or committed suicide. Some languished in obscurity because their work was ignored, neglected, or suppressed. And 3 of them were my friends and fellow poets. And all of their work speaks to me of the redemptive value of suffering. And all 37 poems incorporate details of the poets' lives and the themes of their work. And I tried to meld my voice with theirs. And before I begin, I research each poet thoroughly, and then I read as many of their poems as possible. And when the book is done, it will include a biography for each woman and a suggested reading list. So this is the Poets' Decalogue after Gabriela Mistral, Chile, 1889 to 1957. 1. Be always conscious of your wings. Darkness is overtaking, churning, and even tension is tired. In the house of keeping still, all is hollow-eyed and groaning. 2. Shiver and tingle outside the automobile. Grandma is on life support. The nuns and nurses found her and called you a wanderer. They know nothing of your wings, or do they? 3. Disrobe. The holiest were often required to be naked. Under the dome of the winged serpent, all was stillness. In those days, the sun door stood opened, and all of creation flew through it in radiant rounds of joy. 4. Is your chimney warm? Is the air in it warm and the air in your room? Is your hearth redolent with the scent of flesh? If so, fan the flames to produce a cooling jewel. Use this jewel to scry only the most necessary knowing. 5. Make a pilgrimage to the mountain of butterflies. Love descends on those defenseless. 6. The ocean-born virgin is named Fishy Smell, but her real name is Bird. Find her in the neck of time. Her vagina is enough. You don't need the legs. Remember that initiation takes a lifetime and transpires purely by accident. Soon, a triangle of morning light will come pouring through the porch. 7. Take the mantle of an earth-colored insect and make a wand with twigs and leaves. Use it to replicate the cunning beauty of certain corpses. In the end, your face should resemble a luminous apricot-colored cloud. 8. Soon you'll stall. Your coverts will be to no advantage. You may choose to sacrifice your happiness to restore what was lost, but the sacrifice itself is a privilege. How long will it take you to forget this? 9. Everything that torments and suffocates, everything that imparts sorrow and despair is the moving water that turns the wheel, that transforms air into tree, into prayer, into air. Breathe deep. Make scribble pictures of the stain on your ceiling and try to sell them. Very few will buy. 10. Now recall the glory of your wings. This is Privates of the Popular Apocalypse, and it's after Laurie Jackson, U.S. 1962 to 1990. I didn't die young enough, but I am coiffed and wired on broken linoleum, your finger seeding me like dragon teeth, my clavicle bruised in freight yard dusk, a parenthesis of grease on the ceiling of the Y. So what if it's true? The clavicle is the body's only long horizontal bone, and the stuff a girl does to make a man a hero cuts a low, keening moan amid the moon and ablutions. But hey, weren't we discussing linoleum, the ceiling of the Y, bald, bright July? And would it hurt to fall asleep as the coach house smolders, my face all twisted, but recognizably me? And this is called To Sharon Mesmer, and it's after Julia de Burgos, Puerto Rico, 1917 to 1953. This poem was not written by you, Sharon Mesmer, white woman whose name means complainer of insomnia. This poem was written by me, Julia de Burgos, whose name means my eyes are filled with the graves of stars, and that's why I can fly. Who am I? Don't you know me? Well, when God asked me who I wanted to be, and I said, someone who loves peacefully, God wrote down amnesiac and pushed me out of baby heaven like a blank pushes a blank out of a blank. Fill in the blank, Sharon Mesmer. I've already done all the work. What, you're still wondering how I got inside? Still wondering why only one of us can fly? Well, keep in mind that when you write a line like, no one loved me but I had wings, we all know you're trying to sound like Mary Oliver. I know because I never tried to write myself into a position involving career advancement or even happiness. I am no mere witness to inertia. I know that heaven kills and hell transforms a witness to inertia into an embodied form of joy for all eternity. At the same time, I'm no angel. I'm not even a filthy pigeon. What am I then? I am the scaled fish writhing, still alive in your hands, my wild eyes pleading with you to blank. You know what to do. Start with feeling the constrictions of those sticky wings. And this is the last one I'm going to read. It's called Wings. There's a wing theme throughout the entire collection. Wings, after Delmira Agustini, Uruguay, 1886 to 1914. Alas, Dolores, my mouth once smelled of burnt coffee and cigarettes. Garlic juice oozed from my nails. I had no teeth, no hair, no one loved me, but I had wings. My cat, Azure Vivian, was also old. Her fur was matted, her eyes were clouded, her chest feathered with dust. She could barely walk, but she had wings as well. Each wing was a world, a universe not yet known. At night, we flew by starlight, over long grass waving, over cathedrals hewn from steep, steep cliff faces. In the mornings, only we knew. Then I fell in love with lethargy. Alas, Dolores, I fell in love with watching TV in the kitchen. In the cool, dark afternoons, the TV became a saint, robed in local clothes. I thought the kitchen was deliverance, but it was just a room stinking of burnt coffee and cigarettes where roaches made their quiet homes behind dishes and piles of clothes and mail. I let forgetfulness lull me, soothe me. I dwelled all day at the table, the TV in front of me. All day and into night I watched. There were so many shows. Asleep, I dreamed of watching. Soon my wings grew small, Azure Vivian's too. All day and into night. I tried to stay them with my hands. For months I tried to stay them, and then I couldn't. I couldn't fit my fingers into the spaces where they had disappeared. Then Azure Vivian disappeared too, the old cat, the only one who knew. One day I awoke alone. Alas, Dolores, I was angry because no one could see my wings. They were strong as raven's claws. Azure Vivian knew, and now she's gone too. I'm alone in the kitchen, watching television, but content just knowing that Azure Vivian and I could fly. Thanks.
I totally tip my hat to that. Wow.
Thank you, Sharon.
Beautiful.
Thank you. This was a pleasure.
Some really wonderful lyric passages in there too,
Gorgeous.
along with nice strategies.
Thank you.
There was an insistence about it, you know. Inside the poem, there was this insistence, like someone in a boat sinking, scratching at the plate glass to say, beautiful.
I think a lot of these women were actually doing that. So if you picked it up, then my job is done.
Just in the neck of time.
I want, Live magazine, you can get it. It has a website. Jeffrey, what is the website's? It's https//
It's
livemag.net.
No, .org.
Oh, .org. So there's 17 of these things. I don't know how many are left, these issues. And I got a special message from someone who called them issues, not copies.
Oh, yeah.
And, you can still get this. And this comes from a part of, I mean, poetry comes from all over. But this part of New York that's representing these poems is a special place in poetry. It means a certain kind of poetry, although there's all kinds in there. It's a wide place. And I really, really, really recommend it. If you love this one little aspect of poetry that seems to be forgotten by so many, the imagination, the ability to just make things up. It's beautiful. And I also want to recommend this man, Jeffrey Cipher's writes poetry for his ability to work with the imagination. It's amazing. Anyway,
it's great doing this, and it's interesting that we're able to get like Joel in here from New Orleans, which normally we could never do that. And you have this is an extension of the Great Fox and Crow series that's been going on for like 6 years.
Thank you.
Quite a while, right?
It's been up almost 5 years. I haven't really counted them. I haven't gone back and actually. It would take me 2 minutes to do it, but I just have kind of resisted doing that. But I think it's been about 5 years, and I really think that by late July or early August, probably early August because it's the first Tuesday of the month, we'll be going live again. But we'll also keep I mean, it's my intention. I have to talk to Jocelyn and to others, but I'd like to keep this going and recording that and putting it on this, and
That's
maybe have a little bit of talking. Like
the next frontier, man. The next frontier. It's going to be
Well-
Zoom in the bar with both, having both.
You know, none of this stuff, it always cracks me up, because anybody who organizes these things knows that, and this is going to sound like flattery and all that, but it's true. The audience is what makes all of this possible. Your interest, to all of you out there whom I can't see, but
The chance to share the work is
hey,
really.
yeah, your curiosity about this makes this have a place. And it had a lovely place tonight. And I'm really thankful to my good friend, Jeffrey Cipher's Right, for bringing his magazine and the poets that he had speaking for his magazine
Great night.
to our little scene here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
And we haven't booked the next one yet, or else I would tell you who's going to read. But I still, you know what, I still haven't made up my mind. So it'll be a mystery. And until then, I want to say thanks to you guys, and thank you, Jeffrey, and best luck to Live Mag. While I'm doing this, RNA, the Riverview Neighborhood Association, which sponsors this whole thing, they're going to make a little contribution to Live Mag magazine to help it get along as well, because of this reading. I mean, we made them work for it, you know. But thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jane. Jocelyn.
You bet. So till next time, folks.
Stay
I
alive.
never know how to say goodbye, you know, that's the thing.